Welcome back to Life's a Blog. Take 3. This episode feels different because it is different. It is the end of a season, the end of a year. 2025 is coming to an end and everybody is around making New Year's resolutions and setting goals for 2026. This is the end of this chapter of the podcast, but we'll be back for season 2 in January. I decided to make my seasons run like tax season from January to December because timing matters and so does structure. But before I begin, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who has listened, shared an episode, sent a message, or quietly sat with these conversations. If something here has resonated with you, my hope is that you pass it along to someone who might need it. This space was never about expertise or credentials or me looking good. I don't have a psychology degree. I'm just living through it in real time and saying the parts out loud that often stay buried. I want to talk briefly about something that came up recently because transparency matters to me too. I noticed a pattern where visits to my website were coming through proxy servers after originating on my Facebook page. In plain terms, someone is intentionally moving from social media to my site while masking their identity and location. This isn't accidental and it isn't typical automated traffic. Reading public content is not illegal, but repeated anonymous access is a deliberate choice. I'm clear on what that behavior represents, and I'm not alarmed by it. I simply believe that healthy engagement doesn't require hiding. Boundaries apply online just as they do in real life, and I quietly maintain them. And that, like Forrest Gump would say, is all I have to say about that. So I'd love to learn about what you did over the Christmas holidays. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and send me a little message. I'd love to hear from you. But over the holidays, I had a fantastic time. On Christmas Eve, I had my daughter and son, my daughter-in-law, grandson, brother and sister-in-law over. And as always, I made way too much food. But they went home, bellies full, and a lot of care packages to take home, including all of my cookies. That night, my daughter was packing her bags, getting ready to leave, and she says, "Well, I'm going home to my brand new bed and get cozy." And I'm like, "What? You want to wake? Wait a minute. You want to wake up on Christmas morning alone? And I'm going to wake up on Christmas morning alone?" And I think she saw the look on my face. I was deep in thought. I really wasn't angry. I probably would be angry 2, 3, 4 years ago. But I was hurt. But instead of reacting, I told her the truth. I said to her, "I'm not mad. I'm just going to use your words. I need time to process this." And I explained to her that I come from a different era. Years ago, when my parents were living in Quebec, I would fly, or my ex-husband would fly down, pick them up in their grand caravan, and drive them back up to Cambridge so they didn't have to spend Christmas alone. And they were partners. I'm going to wake up alone on Christmas morning. Alone. And we talked about it and had a really good conversation, actually. No fighting included. And we talked for a while, and then she did want to watch a movie, and we watched a movie, and then she decided that she would stay over. And I said I don't want her to stay over if she feels obligated to, and she said she wasn't going to suggest it, thinking that maybe I would feel guilty for her sleeping over. Just because I did with my parents doesn't mean that she has to. But it does mean there's a transition that I need to move through. The conversation reminded me that love doesn't disappear just because traditions change. It really just asks us to adapt. It was a very powerful learning moment as a mother with two grown children. Because why was it excusable for my son to go because he was going to spend Christmas with his daughter in law's family? But why was this eldest daughter forced to stay with me because she had no plans the next day? And I get it. I get where her thought process is. It's just going to take a little time as a mom to wrap my head around it. And hopefully next year we can be somewhere like Mexico where it's digestible, easier, rather than sitting in front of the Christmas tree alone. And on Christmas Day, my daughter and I went and looked for snow owls, which we did not find, but we had a very nice drive and a very nice chat. I asked her if she wanted to come to my brother and sister-in-law's for dinner, and she said she had much to do at her apartment, so I dropped her off, and I headed down to Ingersoll, and I had an amazing prime rib dinner made by my brother, who's a chef, and we played a game called Play 9, I think it's called. It's a new game, but I think you used to be play it with playing cards, and it was called Golf when you played it with actual playing cards. But what a fun game. Highly recommend it. Go on to Amazon, order it. I got it for New Year's Eve. Last night I was packing my things when the power went out during freezing rain. Everything went quiet, no lights, no noise, just darkness and time. Sitting here alone, I realized how much each year had changed me. In recent months, I had conversations with someone new that clarified something quickly. When asked if I would stay local for a relationship, I knew the answer was no. I've lived through relationships where I minimized myself to make something work, and I'm just not doing that anymore. What I want now isn't dramatic or complicated. It's a mutual commitment, presence, effort, laughter, adventure, old-fashioned communication, a partnership, not a placeholder. That's not a wish list. It's my baseline. As well, around the cool old lamp, I was watching Mel Robbins live on TikTok, and she was asking this young gentleman what lessons were learned from the trials and tribulations he experienced in 2025. And he explained situations all slouched and demure. And then she asked him about what are the good things that happened in 2025. And he straightened up, his shoulders went back, and he started telling about all the great things that happened. And I was going to go through some of the life lessons that I learned in 2025. And I realized most times lessons happen when things are not going well in life. Because a lot of the times, the good times, it's all about celebration. It's not about lessons. But so I want to go through a few of the things in 2025 that really lifted me up. And number one is my grandson. He is a joy. He's my heart. He's my everything. I love picking him up. I love to see the joy when we go down to the trailer and how happy he is there. I love roasting marshmallows with him, and baking this Christmas was just a joy because he took such interest in putting the ingredients in and helping Nanny stir everything up and put them in the oven and have a taste test for later. I think the second thing was my cataract surgery. It was the most horrifying surgery that I ever experienced in my life. It didn't hurt. It was just someone's playing with your eyes and putting a lens in them, and it wasn't pleasant. And I didn't have enough Ativan in me. But I see 2020 now. I wear readers, but they never leave my head. And I'm trying to break that habit because my hair gets all disheveled. But I think after wearing glasses since I've been 11 years old, I think parting with a pair of glasses is going to be a hard thing to do. Number 3 is the amazing new friendships I made at the trailer this year and rekindling a friendship that slowly drifted apart, but we're slowly coming back together again and really talking about what hurt us and feeling heard when we speak to each other about how we drifted apart. And we're going to Red Lobster on Friday, and I'm seeing her for the first time after many years, and I'm just so excited and grateful for her and the new friends that I've made. I'd also say starting this magazine has been one of my moments of success. Of course, it's a struggle. Of course, I feel like pulling my hair out a lot. But also the business relationships that I've acquired and made. I'm so excited to see what I can do in 2026 to make it even better. And while I'm moving away, I am going to be spending time up here networking and getting to know people in the community. It's a test run, my move to Port Franks, to see if I can live minimally, live at the trailer during the summer while maintaining a business up here. Rent is ungodly expensive up here, and I really had an expensive year, and I need to clean myself up in order to shine next year. And these are sacrifices that I'm willing to make in order to have a better tomorrow and treat my kids and grandkids to the things that they deserve. So I'm very proud of all the chances and the fears that I looked in the eye this year. I also went today to Port Stanley because they were anticipating high waves, and typically I'm very nervous about driving in the snow. I did not necessarily love the idea of going to photograph these waves because it is a dangerous condition in most cases. I got some beautiful photos. I got my nose and my ears and my mouth full of sand because the winds are so fierce. And I felt so good. It was just it was like a 4-year-old saying, let's do it again. And so I went to Port Stanley, and then I went to Port Bruce, and then I went to Port Burwell, but Port Burwell did not have the waves that Port Bruce or Port Stanley had. So if you ever want to go catch a wave, go to Port Stanley first. That's highly recommended. Healing has done something interesting to me. It's slowed me down, not in a tired way, in a pay attention way. I don't react as fast anymore. I listen to tone, I watch behavior, and when something feels off, I don't rush to fix it. There was a moment recently, in fact it was last night at 2 a.m., where someone sent me an email accusing me of something that wasn't true. They didn't ask about it. They did not ask for clarification. They just assumed. And the intensity of the email didn't match the reality of it all. That's when I realized this wasn't about what I did. It was about what they thought they saw. It reminded me of the song Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan. This song is about standing in a feeling and mistaking it for the truth. Letting emotion fill in the blanks, seeing something through a filter instead of it as it actually is. Sometimes there isn't something there. Sometimes it's just what someone brings into the room with them. There is absolutely no reason for me to talk about people that I do not know or have not had experiences with. And there's absolutely no reason for me to talk derogatory about someone who I had good experiences with. And I leave them with light and love. I have zero need for that. And I don't need to lie to make myself feel good or look good. I used to take responsibility when this happened. If someone was upset, I'd just assume that I must have done something wrong, and I'd quiver in shame and ask questions. Why? What did I do? I need to know the answer. If someone reacted strongly, I thought it was my job to calm it down. I don't do that anymore. 2025 has shown me that I'm not going to do or take responsibility for somebody else's actions. Because here's what I know now. Not every reaction is about you. Not every accusation is rooted in fact. Not every emotional response deserves your explanation. People will project when they're uncomfortable. They'll assume when they don't have access to you. They'll fill in silence with stories that make sense to them. That doesn't make those stories true. This song hits because it captures the moment you realize the pain isn't coming from what's happening, it's coming from how someone is interpreting it. And you can't heal that for them. What healing has taught me is this. I can check my side of the street. I can be honest with myself. And if I know I haven't crossed the line, I don't carry someone else's reaction anymore. I don't argue. I don't over-explain. I don't stay in conversations built on assumptions. Because peace doesn't come from being understood by everyone. It comes from trusting yourself when you know the truth. Sometimes there isn't something in the orange. Sometimes it's just projection in the light. And once you see that, you stop chasing clarity from people who were never actually looking. And that's the crazy thing. I think he was projecting on me something that he needed to project on somebody else. I'm no longer anybody's punching bag. So 2025 ended in darkness, literally and figuratively. And it also gave me so much clarity. I know what I deserve now. I trust myself to walk towards it. I speak my truth. And I understand that darkness doesn't always mean the end. Sometimes it's just the pause before you choose differently. And man, I'm choosing differently in 2026. I want to thank you again for being here this season, and I'll see you in January. As always, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at lifesablog.ca. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve and a joyous New Year's Day. May 2026 bring you much blessings, health, and happiness. And may you find the light and the love that you've deserved. Take care.